In our elections. That's a message from lawmakers after the indictments handed down by Robert Mueller. Now Democrats are saying the Obama administration could have done more to prevent it. Griff Jenkins live for us in Washington with the latest. Griff, you and I were hosting Fox and Friends this weekend. This was topic 1A for the entire 4 hours yesterday.
It sure was, Todd, and that was a lot of fun. And, you know, according to the allegations in this indictment, the meddling began in 2014, a point we pointed out a lot yesterday. And now Democrats like Adam Schiff, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, is admitting that the administration, the Obama administration, deserves blame for their inaction.
I thought the Obama administration should have done more, but none of that is an excuse for this president to sit on his hands. It is inexplicable that the President of the United States continues to sit on sanctions that Congress passed, that Congress wants to enforce against Russia over this interference.
And while Schiff says this doesn't vindicate the Trump administration, the president took to Twitter this weekend defending that he never said the investigation was a hoax, saying, "I never said Russia did not meddle in the election. I said it may be Russia or China or another country or group. It may be a 400-pound genius sitting in bed playing with his computer. The Russian hoax was that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. It never did." Now, as for sanctions, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have pressured the White House as they missed a congressional deadline in January, but Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin told the Senate Finance Committee last Wednesday that they are on the way. And at the end of the day, Congressman Trey Gowdy said that ultimately this isn't a partisan problem, it's an American problem.
I've known all along that Russia tried to subvert our 2016 election, and they're going to do the same thing in 2020. Next cycle, it could be a Republican. But Americans are the victims of what Russia did. Not Republicans, not Democrats. All of us are victims.
And one more thing, Todd, senators like Bob Casey is saying, let's wait until after the midterm elections for Mueller to release the report, lest it should impact 2018, excuse me.
Yeah, that Trey Gowdy soundbite there, I think, so important. It shows that there's a layer of nuance here we were talking about all weekend long that some on the mainstream media left may not be seeing. Griff Jenkins, live for us in Washington this morning. Griff, thank you. All right, let's get to some fun stuff here. Austin Dillon on top of the NASCAR world after winning the Daytona 500 in overtime.
Austin Dillon wins the 60th running of the Great American Race.
Dillon taking the Great American Race, like you heard the announcer say there, in the number 3 car, 20 years after Dale Earnhardt Sr. did it in 1998. Dillon avoiding 2 wrecks, one coming with just laps to go, the other knocking out Danica Patrick in her final NASCAR race. The win is Dillon's second of his career, giving him a spot in the playoffs for the NASCAR title. Over the summer, had a chance to interview him for Fox and Friends. Great guy. Congratulations to him. Time now, 9 minutes after the hour, a Florida teacher's post about gun violence going viral. Her message that every parent should hear. The indictment against Russians is considered by some as a major win for the president.
There's not a word in the indictment that suggests collusion. In fact, there's a word that suggests non-collusion.
So why hasn't the probe been closed? Up next, a security analyst explains how the Democrats are actually helping Russia wreak havoc here in the U.S. Welcome back. President Trump once again claiming vindication in the Russian collusion probe with the Mueller team's indictments against Russians for election interference. And he's actually getting support from Clinton-era special counsel Ken Starr.
There's not a word in the indictment that suggests collusion. In fact, there's a word that suggests non-collusion, and that's the word unwittingly.
That's right.
That appears early on in the indictment, and that was in connection with Florida. It was not in connection with folks at Trump Tower.
But our next guest says it's not quite that simple. Joining me now to weigh in on that and the cyber threat posed by Russia is security analyst Ryan Mauro. Ryan, good to see you as always. Why isn't it that simple?
Well, it's because there are a whole slew of accusations against Trump accusing him of colluding with Russia. So on the one hand, Trump can accurately say that the indictments indicate that his campaign was not involved with Russia's social media campaign. In fact, Russia was playing both sides. Pro-Trump forces and anti-Trump forces were being promoted by Russia. But when it comes to the greater question of collusion that Democrats and others are accusing Trump of, well, that investigation and question still remains, so this issue is not going away.
Okay, but Ryan, I have to ask you, you heard Rod Rosenstein say it in the press conference, and you heard Ken Starr just allude to it. The phrase that Rosenstein used was, there was no American knowingly. Ken Starr referenced the wittingly. That shows there wasn't that, like, conscious effort to do anything wrong. And the fact that no American did anything, Trump obviously is an American, how do you reconcile that?
Sure. Well, when you look at the indictments and the language that's used, it's related to the crime that they're accusing the Russians of, which is the social media campaign and identity fraud. And that's just one element of the whole collusion debate that's going on. Now, I suspect that Trump was not colluding with the Russians personally. I don't see how that makes any sense from the Russian perspective. But I'm worried that the political ramifications of this are going to help the Russian objective and really shield us from understanding the greater objective here, which is that this is a very cunning ideological attack on America's democracy by Russia, by pitting us against each other. And Russia understands that if Americans cannot productively discuss their disagreements, then our democracy cannot function properly, and then that damages the movement for freedom around the world. That's what strongmen like Putin need.
And that's a key point that I think was lost in some of the analysis that we've seen on other networks over the course of the weekend. That said, you did hear Trey Gowdy reference that. You heard Ken Starr. And you also heard the Facebook ad exec. I thought this was fascinating when this came out. Rob Goldman tweets that Russia didn't want to influence the election. He writes, this was on Friday, very excited to see the Mueller indictment today. We shared Russian ads with Congress, Mueller, and the American people to help the public understand how the Russians abused our system. Still, there are key facts about the Russian actions that are still not well understood. Now, here's the most interesting line. Most of the coverage of Russian meddling involves their attempt to affect the outcome of the 2016 election. I have seen all the Russian ads, and I can say very definitively that swaying the election was not the main goal, and that really sort of underscores what you're saying. The goal is to ruin American democracy.
Exactly. We are failing to understand the ideological dimension of Putin's strategy that has been in place for years, and you can tell by the propaganda that the Russians have been putting out. And we are failing to understand what the greatest weakness of Putin is, which is the threat from within. And so how does he best handle the movement for freedom that he faces? Well, if you discredit American democracy, you make democracy look like an illusion or something not desirable, then he can undermine his own opposition. And that's what strongmen around the world want. So from the perspective of strongmen like Putin, our hyper-partisanship is our greatest weakness and therefore their greatest strength. And it's important for Americans to realize that.
We need people like yourself and your community there in counterterrorism to come together and fight the bad guys, but we need America to come together to not let this happen again. Ryan Mauro, thank you very much, sir. Always good to see you. He put his body between the Florida shooter and students being targeted. Now athletes honoring Coach Aaron Feist the best way they know how.
How was it today?
It was good, doing what we love, and he loved it too.
He's not really gone. He's more here with us in my heart.
Rob Schmidt joins Coach Feist's players on the field. A beautiful story you don't want to miss when Fox and Friends First on a Monday morning returns. 21 minutes after the hour now, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson opening up about intensifying threats from North Korea. He says the rogue nation's threats make him nervous, but they also strengthen our nation's resolve.
That kind of a threat to the American people by a regime like this is not acceptable.
What is the carrot that you're dangling for North Korea to convince them to talk?
We're not using a carrot to convince them to talk. We're using large sticks. This pressure campaign is having its bite on North Korea.
Tillerson also talked about his future in the Trump administration, saying reports of him being fired or resigning don't bother him. He says he's committed to the president and to serving his country. Vice President Mike Pence standing firm against Russian meddling in the 2016 election in an exclusive interview with Ainsley Earhart at the U.S.-Mexico border.
As you know, our administration has been fully cooperating with the special counsel investigation, and we will continue to. There's no question that Russia sought to interfere, perhaps with other countries, in our electoral process. And it's absolutely essential that we take action against individuals who attempted to interfere with our democracy. There's no suggestion that there was any impact on the outcome of the election.
Catch that full interview this morning on Fox and Friends, starting at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. All right. Elders Antiques has been a family-owned and operated business for over 30 years, but now the owner says she might have to board up the shop due to backlash for flying a pro-police flag. She's even been harassed with threatening messages posted on the shop's window. Joining us now to tell us her story is Elders Antiques owner Sherry Elder. Ms. Elder, thank you so much for being here this morning. And why don't you set the stage? Explain what happened.
Yesterday morning, I got a call from my neighbor who had seen something posted on the front window of my store. So when she called me, she said she had already called the police, and I'm about an hour away from the store. So when I got there, there was a large notebook type paper, I guess maybe like 2 by 3, that said that for supporting the police, that if I didn't take the flag down, I was going to go down. Okay. We had our...
Explain how you have supported the police.
Well, in St. Louis, we're kind of low on police. We're not getting the police. We don't have enough police officers. Okay. So the ones that we do have on our beat, we try to support. We have 2 African-American ladies, and they're just wonderful, and we want to keep them.
Sure. When you see a sign like that in your family-owned store, what's going through your mind?
I'm scared.
Okay.
It's frightening. You don't know what people are capable of doing. It's not funny at all. I don't know what to think. I just know I'm scared. I was sick all night the night before. I just don't understand it.
Okay. So why do you think somebody would do something like this? What do you think is going through their mind to lead them to do something, quite frankly, so stupid?
I think that maybe they believe that me flying the flag means something more than what it means to me.
Okay. And do you have a message to those people who put that horrific sign there on your store?
I would just have to say that you should give me or give people the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't flying that flag for no other reason except to support the police. That's the only reason.
Understood.
There was nothing else.
Ms. Elder, thank you very much for your time. Obviously, this is a very disturbing time for you and your business, but we wish you the very best. And thank you very much for taking the time to come speak with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Time now, 26 minutes after the hour. The calls for more gun control reaching a boiling point nationwide. The plan of action just announced by the White House.
And bright stars through
and Fergie's rendition of the national anthem, setting off a firestorm for all the wrong reasons. We break that down when Fox and Friends first returns.
We're so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red.
The White House renewing calls for legislation to strengthen gun background checks in the wake of the Florida school shooting. This as students call for nationwide protests demanding swift action. Kelly Wright joins us live with the very latest. Kelly, good morning.
Todd, good morning to you as well. The heartbreak is still palpable and runs deep in Parkland, but students are determined to stop this from ever happening again. Appearing on Fox News Sunday, students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School in Parkland expressed their sadness for the 17 lives lost, and they voiced their determination to launch a student-led grassroots movement to demand politicians to take action to stop the wave of gun violence in America.
The March for Our Lives is going to be in every major city, and we are organizing it so students everywhere can beg for our lives. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about the red and blue, the GOP and the Democrats. This is about adults and kids.
This is a case of simple, please stop. Please stop allowing us to be gunned down. We want to have conversations with President Donald Trump, Senator Marco Rubio, and Governor Rick Scott about the fact that they are being supported by the NRA. And we want to give them the opportunity to be on the right side of this.
The White House says President Trump will host a listening session with students and teachers on Wednesday. Then he'll meet with state and local leaders on Thursday to discuss school safety. Senator Marco Rubio says it is time for Congress to act.
Just because the laws could not have done anything to prevent it doesn't mean that we can't have a debate on those laws anyway, and it doesn't mean there's nothing we can do.
President Trump singled out mental health as being part of the problem here, but White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders over the weekend revealed the president also supports a push to improve federal compliance with criminal background checks for gun buyers. Todd?
Kelly Wright, live for us in studio. Kelly, thank you very much. A Facebook post from a teacher of the year at a Florida middle school going viral after last week's school shooting. Kelly Guthrie Raley writing in part, until we as a country are willing to get serious and talk about mental health issues, lack of discipline in the home, horrendous lack of parental support when the schools are trying to control horrible behavior at school, violent video games that take away all sensitivity to any compassion for others' lives, we will have a gun problem in school. Parents, it's time to step up. Stop being their friend. We want to know what you think. Should parents pry into their children's lives to keep them and, quite frankly, all of us safe? Let us know on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or email us at friendsfirst@foxnews.com. Former Hillary Clinton campaign chair John Podesta getting grilled about 2016 campaign failures in the Midwest.
How is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
Well, of course, we spent a lot of time and energy and effort in all those states.
Hillary Clinton herself did not spend much time in those states.
You know, we had Tim Kaine was there, Barack Obama.
That exchange in response to last week's indictment by special counsel Robert Mueller, showing that Russians involved in election meddling knew where to focus their efforts. This may sound familiar. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slamming the media, saying it's adding pressure for a new police investigation into corruption allegations. Israel's leader writing in a statement, quote, "The media witch hunt continues with all its might. The media put tremendous pressure to inflate another balloon." Israeli police say they have enough evidence to indict Netanyahu on political corruption charges in 2 separate cases. U.S. Olympic skater Adam Rippon no longer joining the NBC broadcast team. The bronze medalist backing out after learning he would lose his status as an Olympian, which would prevent him from participating in closing ceremonies. Rippon, who is openly gay, made headlines after accusing Vice President Mike Pence of having an anti-gay agenda. Pence refutes the claims, sharing kind words on Twitter that Rippon rejected. All right. Fergie's jazzed-up rendition of our national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game falling flat of being, well, Fergalicious.
Does that star spangled banner yet wave?
Several players, including Draymond Green, seen laughing, there we go, at her botch rendition before Sunday's game at Staples Center in L.A. Other players looking stone-faced throughout the whole performance. Roseanne Barr joining in on the Twitter firestorm, comparing it to her infamous 1990 version, tweeting in part, quote, "I think mine was better low-key." All right, just quickly on this. Got to give Fergie credit for trying so hard for our Star-Spangled Banner, even if the results may not have been so good. All right, time now is 35 minutes after the hour. An emotional moment as football players take the field days after one of their coaches was gunned down trying to save lives.
How proud are you of these kids?
Oh, my Lord. I can't even tell you how proud of these kids I am. It was hard for them
Beautiful story coming up. Rob Schmidt joins him on the gridiron to honor Coach Aaron Feis. Paying the price, why some say Facebook should be fined for its role in Russian interference during the 2016 presidential election. That and more when Fox and Friends First returns. It's been just days since tragedy struck their school, and as the football team mourns the loss of their hero coach, Aaron Feis, 7 of them hit the field to honor Feis's memory at the Florida Scouting Combine. Our own Rob Schmidt spoke to the team about the football event and their coach's legacy. Rob?
That's right, Todd. Their friend and assistant football coach, Aaron Feis, died inside this school on Wednesday. He died a hero. It is a tremendous story. And over the weekend, these kids had a choice to make about whether or not to attend this combine. They did so because that's what Coach Feis would have wanted.
Coach Feis would have been here today with you guys.
Coach Feis was everywhere we were. If we were somewhere, he was there.
Not having him here, it looks like from what I saw, you guys still played your hearts out on this field.
I think that these guys knew that's what he would want them to do. You know, he would want them to come out and like he would say, ball out and give everything you had, not only just for ourselves, but to support Douglas High School and our whole community. We're not going to quit. We're not going to lay down. We're going to stay strong, and we're going to keep doing what we do.
How proud are you of these kids?
Oh, my Lord. I can't even tell you how proud of these kids I am. It was hard for them today to come out here.
Everyone in this program is one as a family, and they came out here and made not only themselves proud, but our school proud.
Coach Feis, tell me something you loved about him. Give me a good story.
He was just a great guy.
Yeah.
He cared about everyone and everything. I don't know. I'm honestly just speechless about everything. Just shocked.
I'm going to be expecting him when we go back, but he's not going to be there. This is my outlet right here.
We have some strong young men around us, and we just got to keep pushing, keep helping each other out, being there for each other.
I knew Coach Feis would want me to come out here, right? Yeah. I knew, so I had to come out here to support, and I had to make it towards him. So I came out here and balled out. It's only for him, though.
How was it today?
It was good, doing what we love, and he loved it too, so he would have wanted us to come out here.
And I feel like he's not really gone. He's more here with us in my heart. Every time I get on the field, he's there.
I kind of came out here, was kind of rethinking it. I was like, I walked out on the field and I was like, ooh, this kind of hurts because I don't see, my big man standing, because he was actually supposed to come to this.
If he could have told you whether or not to do this, you think he would have said, get your butt on that field and go play?
He would have said no question. And if we even talked about us not going, he would have been very, very, very upset. Everybody loved him. He was probably one of the greatest men I've ever met. And I'll keep saying that until the day I die, that he is one of the greatest men I've ever met. I want to send prayers to the families. I have every single victim on my shoe. That's Coach Hickson, yes, that's our athletic director.
Right. There's Coach Feis right here on the...
Yeah, that's Joaquin Oliver. His nickname was Squawk. Meadow, Mr. Bagel, Peter, Alyssa, Elena, Jamie. We have everybody, all 17.
Some great kids there this weekend. You saw the quarterback throwing the passes. His dad was out there watching him play. He said, my son is about to go to more funerals here in the next few days than most people will attend in a lifetime. And he said it was just great to see him out there on the field, to be able to forget about that and be normal just for a couple of hours. Todd, back to you.
Yeah, such a true but such a sad statement. And you saw the tribute there on the shoes. You wonder and you hope, I think, if this upcoming NFL season, if that phrase ball out becomes a motto of a bunch of NFL players as they pay tribute to those lives lost. We'll see.
We'd love to see that,
That'd
especially for the Miami Dolphins down here. Yeah,
100%. Right. Rob Schmidt, amazing story. Thank to you and Matt Leach for a great story right there. Time now, 43 minutes after the hour. President Trump is having a President's Day sale. Yep, I said that right. The Make America Great Again deals you can cash in on, and one state looking to revamp its unemployment benefits by cutting them in half. Is this good motivation for job hunters or kicking them while they're down? We'll debate that next.